No, this is good.
The board?
Yeah, it's good. Okay. You're live.
I'm live? Let's get it in. You know, tonight we're going to do some stuff, man, that I talk about a lot. But it always surprises me. Well, I'll wait to get into it.
We have 7 viewers.
Hello, everyone. We're going to get in some good stuff tonight. Probably this is going to be stuff that you may have never heard before. The things I want to cover tonight are things that very often when I bring them up, I get the response that I never heard that before. Even from people that have been in sales for a very long time. They say no one has ever taught them these things before. But I'm going to teach it to you tonight. And I'm going to teach it to you tonight for free. Wow. Oh, my voice is jacked up, isn't it, baby?
Yeah, you good.
You good? You getting on camera tonight?
If I need to.
Good. I don't know if I need you to, but I want you to be willing to all the time.
All right, I'm willing.
All right, okay, going to do not disturb. Got 3 minutes to go. We're going to start exactly at 9 o'clock. Oh, we have 7 viewers already, and we just...
I don't know, babe.
All right. Got my do not disturb on. I'm ready to get this thing in.
Kyra's on.
Hello, Kyra. How you doing? Gotta send one message off. It's hot in this room.
Side.
Huh?
Side.
Charles Carey, Mr. Charles Carey. He's going to be one of the speakers on the docket with us in Corpus Christi next month.
That's awesome. We got 9 o'clock, bro.
It's 8:58 by my time. But
yeah, no, you're right. It's 8:58. I got 9 o'clock on my laptop. 8:59 on the phone.
And 8:59 there too. You got the intro music or anything, or you just gonna do the intro? You gave a good intro Saturday morning. Saturday morning, I had to give a workshop from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. to an insurance group. And whenever I speak, I like it when my wife does my introduction. Because even if the presenter or the host, even if they know me well, they can't deliver an introduction like my wife. And the introduction does matter. It sets the stage for the presentation to come. And this past Saturday, my wife did an intro like, woohoo! She blew them away with her intro. So by the time I came up there to do my thing, they were ready. So good job, baby. I appreciate you very much.
Well, thank you.
I'm ready to go. Woo! All right, go ahead and kill the music. Hello, everyone. This is Monday Night Sales Mastery. Monday nights, this is an opportunity for me for just 30 minutes to share. Just 30 minutes to give off some information that will be helpful to you in selling yourself and your services better than you ever have before. Tonight, I'm going to cover some things that very often, you can turn that off. Tonight, I'm going to cover some things that very often, whenever I present it, people say this is the first time they ever heard it. These are sales rapport building techniques. These are high-level sales rapport building techniques. These are things that's going to help you to connect with your clients quicker than you ever had before so that you can earn more money than you ever had before. Some people have called these techniques the sales magic techniques. And I'm just going to teach them to you here. These are old school in nature, but they still are relevant because you still sell to people. And the philosophy from hundreds of years ago, people must like you before they can listen to you, and they must listen to you before they can believe you, and they must believe you before they can buy from you is still true today. So a lot of these old school things are still very, very important. Now, I want you to think about the first job you ever had where they paid you money to do that job. You got that image in mind? Now I want you to think about how much money they paid you on the first job you ever had. I want you to think about the kind of work you were doing on your first job. Think about any of the people on the very first job that you ever had. Got that in mind? Now, as you're thinking about that first job you ever had, the first real money you ever earned, for a lot of you guys, you had to go back a little further than others, but think about the first time you ever had anything formal where you earned money. Now, everyone has dominant communication styles. They have ways that they prefer to communicate. No one communicates only in one way, but we all have our preferred way. When I ask you to think about the first job you ever had and how much money and what you were doing and about the people who have a dominant visual communication style, their eyeballs would have went up like this. Oh, what was my first job? Their eyeballs would have flew up and fished around because that's how they access their memory. They'll look up to come up with an answer. Visual people do that. Visual people tend to say things in visual terms. They tend to say things like, well, here's how I see it happening. Or I picture it going this way. Or I imagine it looking like this. Or this is what it looks like to me. The most dominant communication style are visual people. Visual. That is the most dominant communication style. Most people are visual communicators.
Emily is on. James Penn is on.
Hello, James. Hello, Emily. Most people are visual. Probably 60 to 65% of us out here are visual people, maybe even a little bit higher in some estimates. People get a picture of things. Now, not only will visual people, eyes tend to fly up when they access their memories, and they'll tend to talk in visual terms. Visual people also prefer that you talk to them in visual terms. They prefer that you talk to them in a language that they like. Again, no one is only one thing, but visual people like to be talked to that way. So if you were selling to a dominant visual communicator, you should say things like, 3 months from now, what is going on in your business that lets you know, or how does your business look that lets you know that this was the right thing to do? Or can you imagine this working great for you? Give them an opportunity to see something ahead. Visual communicators. Now, the second most dominant communication style, if you were to ask someone something where they had to ask their memory, I want you to think about the first date that you ever went on. Who did you go with? Where did you go? What did you do on your very first formal date? Did you get a kiss goodnight on your very first formal date? Now, when you ask someone that has a dominant communication style of auditory, their eyeballs would have stayed very level. And they would have moved to the left and right like this. As if either they're level or to the left and right towards their own ears. The second most dominant communication style are auditory people. Auditory people. Auditory people are people who believe that they can gauge your honesty by how you sound. They think they could tell if you're lying or telling the truth by how you sound. These are the same people that cringe when a siren goes by. These are the same people that don't really like high-pitched, squeaky voices. These are the same people that prefer a pleasing voice tonality. Auditory people, when you ask them something like on your very first date, they prefer that you talk to them, and they will use verbiage like this themselves. They'll say things like, I heard that, or it just doesn't sound right to me. Yeah, I hear you talking. Those are auditory phrases. And auditory people, again, a pleasing voice tonality works much better for them. They do not like the high-pitched voice. Talk to them in your voice tonality matters a great deal. And you should use auditory phrases when you're talking to them. You should say to them, well, how does this sound to you so far? You know? Or what are you hearing about what I'm talking about so far? What are you hearing? What does it sound like to you? Talk to them in that kind of language because they prefer to be talked to in that language and they like to talk in that language themselves. One more time, no one is only one thing, but we all have a preferred thing. We all have bits and pieces of all of them, but we all have a dominant one. Now, I want you to think about your favorite toy as a child. If you have a favorite toy or something that you enjoyed playing with, your favorite toy or your first bicycle, you remember that? Your favorite toy or something that caused you to have to access your memory. The third most dominant communication style are kinesthetic people. Kinesthetic people. K-I-N-E-S-T-I-C. Kinesthetic. No, that's not right. Spelling doesn't count. Kinesthetic people. Spelling doesn't count.
Yeah.
Kinesthetic people. Now, kinesthetic people, they get a feel for things. When you ask a kinesthetic person something where they have to access their memories, their eyeballs will go down, like looking towards their own chest or the ground, and they'll, and then they will come up with the answer. They will go down and come up with the answer. Kinesthetic people tend to and more. Kinesthetic people tend to respect your personal space a lot less. There are people who are more comfortable being close to you as they talk to you. And they're comfortable with you being closer to them. They're comfortable being more close than most people are. They got to get a feel for things. These will be the same people who tend to touch your arm as they laugh. Ha ha ha. And they like to be touched as well. They'll be the people, like if you have any kind of sample or a product to show them, they'll be very quick to want to hold it. Or even paperwork, anything you bring out, they want to reach and touch it because they're very tactile in their communication. It's like they have to touch it and get a feel for it to understand it. Kinesthetic people will say things like, just doesn't feel right to me. Or, I don't know, he makes my skin crawl. You know, these will be the same people that every room they go to, they instantly going to tell you things like, you know, it's hot in here or cold in here. They constantly are gauging how something feels around them.
Teresa and Rika are on.
Teresa and who?
Rika Whitaker.
My cuz, what's up, Reek? How you doing? How you doing, Teresa? How you doing?
Jones, Teresa Jones.
Teresa Jones. Teresa, I gave your testimony to another client of mine just today. Anyway, I keep talking about Teresa. But kinesthetic people, they got to get a feel for things. So if you're trying to sell to a kinesthetic person, you should talk to them in the language that they prefer.
Audretta's on the call.
Hello, Audretta. I'm a big, big fan of Audretta. Everyone should connect with Audretta. Anyway, and Audretta needs to connect with Teresa Jones. So anyway, kinesthetic people got to get a feel for things, and they communicate that way. That's how it works for them. So when you're talking to a kinesthetic person, you should say things like, well, how do you feel about this so far? You know, does this feel good or bad to you? How do you feel about this here? Again, these little things like this, they might seem trite and they might seem small, but the little things are often everything. Everything counts. It either adds to or takes away from your ability to make that sale. Now, I want you guys to be aware of this, but I want you to be aware of some other things too. Because we're going to do just rapport stuff, high-level rapport stuff tonight. And I've already used up 10 minutes, and I got a bunch more stuff I want to cover, so we'll see. The next thing I want you to be aware of, a lot of people have heard of this term before, mirroring. Mirroring. I should have brought a chair in here.
You want to sit?
No. Yeah. If you have a, where's one of those fold-up chairs? Okay. Thank you. I'll get right back. Okay. Mirroring. Now, a lot of people have heard the term mirroring before, but they use it wrong.
Rosa Brooks is on.
Hello, Rosa. How you doing? My call, girl. Anyway, mirroring. Now, people have heard the term mirroring before. And what they think is, mirroring is, if you're sitting across from someone, if they lean forward, you lean forward. If they lean back, you lean back. If they sit like this, you sit like this. You do that too. If they rub their chin, you rub their chin. That is just this much correct.
Like from Mo Money, remember that scene in Mo Money?
No, I don't.
Damon Wayans did it when he was going on his job interview.
Oh, yes, yes. And the guy was like, and he started doing it too. I do remember that scene. But the thing is, that's only 10% correct if you do it that way. It's right, but people mess that up so badly because they don't understand the key criteria of mirroring to be effective. And the key criteria for mirroring to be effective is the word subtlety. Subtlety. So if the client you're talking to is sitting like this here, leaning forward, you don't get to lean forward as soon as they do and lean back as soon as they do. Take your time. Continue the conversation. And eventually end up in a matching physiological state, as if they're looking in a mirror. At some point, you want your physiology, the way you're sitting or leaning or whatever, to match theirs. And the other key is you don't have to match them for very long. You only have to match their physiology for mere moments. Just for a few moments, match their physiology. Just long enough for all of their receptors to match, all of their eyes and ears and feelings to see that, at least for a few moments, you are in the exact same physiological stance as they are in. Because in that moment there, you are just like them. Physiologically. Mirroring. The key phrase is subtlety. That's what you need to do. Subtlety. Just matching for a moment. Because for a few moments you're just like them. And those few moments of being just like them is enough for them to like you enough to want to work with you. Now, the other thing I want to talk about real quick, and I'm going to tie all of this together tonight. I'm going to bring it all back together and tie it together. That's a good example in the Mo Money sketch. Damon Wayans' character is talking, and I hadn't seen that movie in 20 years.
Yeah.
But the guy he's talking to kept going like this. Yeah.
Cynthia Grant joined.
And then he did the same thing, you know. Matter of fact, Bruce does a thing about people that does like this all the time. And next thing you know, you're doing like it too, you know. Bruce has a skit about that as well. Cynthia Jones?
Cynthia Grant.
Cynthia Grant, Minister Cynthia Grant, hello, how you doing? Love you. So, not only is visual people, visuals, auditories, kinesthetics, and mirroring, there's another thing people need to know about, and this is something that a lot of people pick up on, and they find themselves doing unwittingly, and it's called pacing. Pacing. Now, what pacing is if you're talking with someone who tends to talk very fast, you know, you attempt to match your rate of speech with their rate of speech. If they talk very slow, you attempt to match your rate of speech to their rate of speech. Now, if you are naturally someone who speaks very fast and the client talks very slow, it's going to be difficult for you to match them exactly and still maintain your level of authenticity because it just doesn't work right for you. It doesn't feel right. But try to get close if you can. When I was a brand new salesperson, they had me ride with a veteran. I was an over-the-road salesperson. And this guy, his name was Kevin. If he went into a customer's home and they spoke with a southern drawl, Kevin spoke with a southern drawl. If they spoke with an English accent, soon after he was in there, he started speaking with an English accent too. He could pull it off. I couldn't pull it off like that, you know. But he never even realized he did it. I asked him about it one day. I said, "Did you notice you do that?" And he said, "No, I had no idea." He was what's called an unconscious competent. He was competent in what he was doing, but he wasn't conscious of what he was doing. Those kinds of people who are unconscious competence, they can do it, but they cannot teach it. because they don't know why it works, you know? And that's another thing that we pick up from Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So, learning someone's dominant communication style, knowing about mirroring, knowing about pacing, and then knowing about anchoring. We're not going to cover anchoring because I think that's kind of corny. All these little things, what happens is if you get good at it and you surprise yourself how fast you'll start paying attention to your clients better. You'll find yourself, look, when you're talking to your clients, you're going to find yourself noticing where their eyeballs fly to. You're going to find yourself paying closer attention to how they say words, how they turn a phrase. And it happens real quick. You'll be able to pick up on this real quick. Back in the 90s, when I first learned these techniques, I was a rock star salesperson. I mean, I was out selling everyone, you know, by a lot. And I was so cocky at it. And y'all not going to believe this, but I was so cocky at sales at some point in my life, lots of points in my life. I'm still pretty good, but I'm not cocky like I used to.
You're not cocky?
Nah. but I used to tell, this is how bad I was. I used to announce in the beginning of the month that I am going to outsell any two of you guys in here put together. Any two of y'all, I don't care who it is. Any two of y'all put together, no matter what y'all do, my production is going to be greater than your two put together. And I challenge him to take that challenge because I knew no one was willing to work as hard as I was going to work. No one, because I worked on my days off. That's why I knew I could always beat them, for one thing. And I would start fast, and I took every appointment very, very seriously. Every appointment. I didn't think everyone else did. I took every appointment like I couldn't afford to miss it. That's how seriously I took my game. So I felt like I could beat everybody in sales.
Juna Murphy Hopes.
Yes.
Did I pronounce that right?
No, I don't think you did. And I think I messed it up too. I think it's Dwana.
Dwana? Okay.
Yes. But anyway, hello, how you doing? But anyway, so when I first learned these techniques here, I got so good at it and I got so cocky at it that the companies knew I was rocking. So they wanted me to always teach people how to do what I did. So they kind of always put either a brand new person with Brian or a veteran that was in a slump that would tag along and watch how I did my work. Because even if I didn't make a sale, they would see what good behavior looked like. You know, because I didn't cut any corners either. So if a customer tried to commit the crime of not buying, I would just go through all my steps to the sale. I would practice on them. If they tried to not buy from me, I would just use them for practice. I felt like if I drove out there, I'm going to get something from this trip, no matter what.
Please tell people that you don't do that anymore and that they should not do that anymore.
Do what anymore?
Burn a prospect out.
I'm not telling about burning prospects right now. I'm about to tell them about something else.
No. I'm talking about what you just said. That when you...
Oh, when I don't make a sale now?
Yeah.
No, I'm not that urgent anymore. Okay?
Yeah.
And I understand. Well, that was back in the night. That's
right.
A great point. Now, 20 years ago, sales were made different than they are now. 20 years ago, salespeople still had the advantage. Today, salespersons do not have the advantage over your clients. You don't have the advantage now because they all have access to Google and they can all research what you're talking about. You can't fool anybody. They can check rates. They can check everything. So the techniques of back then of trying to high pressure someone do not work today. Today, you have to sell through a process and not an event. Okay? It's not a one-time event today. I think sales today is done through a process. I no longer think the way I did back in the 90s. Okay? But what I was going to say, thank you for bringing that up, sweetheart.
You're welcome.
Was I got so cocky at it that I would tell whomever was with me, now watch me in here. Within 15 minutes, I'm going to have that guy in that office. I'm going to have him leaning frontwards and backwards in his chair, and I'm going to make him say, "I like you," to me. That's what I would do. So here's how I did that. And I said, now don't say anything, just watch what I do. So what I would do is I would go in there and I would say whatever he told me to say, and I would ask him a few questions, and I would pay attention to him, and I would try to determine his dominant communication style first, whether it was visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. And I wouldn't go by my first clue. I would test it. I would ask him 2 or 3 or 4 things where he had to access his memory so I could determine what his dominant communication style was. And while he was doing that, I would try to end up in matching physiological states, mirroring him a little bit. And I would try to match his rate of speech. And then what I would do is once I mirrored him, okay, and I found out his dominant communication style, I would match him exactly, and then I would change my physiology to get him to change theirs. So I would be matching him this way, and then I would lean back, and I would see if he go back right away. So if he, then I would match their physiology first, and I would try to get them to match mine.
Cat D is on.
Who?
Cat D.
What's up, Cat D? We miss you, girl. We have an event coming up that you get to participate in.
She's already participating. She's collecting stuff already.
That's right. At Salon, what's it called?
Code Red.
Code Red. That's right. Her salon. So anyway, we're going to talk about that before we get out of here, please.
Okay.
Remind me. So I would try to get them, my client, my potential client, to move like I was moving. Now, whenever I got that to happen, that meant at that moment, I had a very high level of rapport with them. And very often they would say, you know what, we get salespeople to come in here all the time, but for some reason I just like you. You know, and the reason why they liked me was because even for just a few moments, I was just like them. For just a few moments, I was just like them. And most people like themselves, especially people who own a company or people who are in business. They have to have some level of confidence and like themselves enough to set out to do that thing. So for at least a few moments, he felt like I was just like him. And he had to state, I like you. Now, I want you to imagine a pedestal. Let's say the pedestal is this high off the ground. The pedestal, just flat pedestal. Why don't you put big vases on? A pedestal this high off the ground. Okay? Pretty pedestal. Now imagine if you could pick up and put your potential client on top of that pedestal. Now you put them on top of that pedestal and they are standing on top of that pedestal. How would they get off that pedestal? If you didn't help them, how would they get off the pedestal? Whatever they did, they could either jump from this level here to the ground. That would be awkward. They could figure out a way to climb down. That would be awkward. The point is, if you are effective at putting a person up on a pedestal, if you can get them on a pedestal sincerely, it's very difficult to come down off the pedestal. If you can properly edify your potential client, it's very difficult for them to say no to you, because to say no to you is like saying no to themselves, and most people have a very difficult time saying no to themselves. Baby, I hope you're not getting sick like I was sick.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Again, if you can, now here's another thing too. I just said something in the flow there of putting on a pedestal and matching them, and them trying to say no to you is like saying no to themselves. That makes it hard for them not to buy from you if you put them in a position to say no for themselves. But here's the thing, and hear me clearly here, because you can't fool anybody. Sincerity matters. Sincerity matters. Now, there are two types of people that really, really like sincere compliments. Two types of people that like sincere compliments. Compliments that you really mean, compliments that you really believe, compliments where there's not any hint of an ulterior motive behind them. The two types of people that really like sincere compliments without ulterior motives are, number one is women, and the other one is men. Okay? Those are the two types of people that like sincere compliments given without ulterior motives. If you find something about someone that you can sincerely compliment without an ulterior motive, sometimes you sincerely compliment the fact that they're family people, or that they've worked hard to accomplish, or they've built something great. Sincerity matters. Do not compliment anyone don't say any compliments that you don't fully believe. It's 9:25, okay?
Gary McFadden is on.
Gary McFadden, how you doing, sir? So, it's 9:25. I talked tonight about some sales rapport building skills, high-level sales rapport building skills, how to determine someone's dominant communication style, whether they're auditory, visual, or kinesthetic. I talked about mirroring and anchoring. I talked about how to use the client's voice. I didn't even get to cover voice tonality tonight. When this broadcast ends, it goes from 9 to 9:30, and then I have a secret Facebook group as well where I can deep dive into these things. Those who are members of my secret group, we deep dive into them after the 9:30 show, where we can get into it much more clearly. You get to ask me questions, I get to respond, and that's in another group. Anyone who wants to know about the secret Facebook group, just reach out to me, and I'll let you know. I have the information on that. There are a few people on this broadcast that are also already going to be on the broadcast that follows this. I did mention another thing. We're very, very civic. So when is the event? Do you know off the top of your head, maybe?
Yeah, February the 18th.
February the 18th, we're going to give again. Typically, 3, 4, 5 times a year, Lisa, my wife and I, and our friends, we will give. We've had a coat drive earlier this year where we gave away more than 200 coats and scarves and gloves to folks who are a little bit less fortunate than us. So on February the 18th, we're giving things away across the street from the men's shelter down to Uptown Charlotte. We're giving away hats, scarves, and love. Hats, scarves, socks, love. We're giving away those things. So what we do is we typically round up our friends and we get together on a Saturday and we just give to anyone who wants it. Not only do we give things that keep them warm, we also give love.
Esteem.
We give esteem. We hug them. We pray with anyone who wants to be prayed with. There'll be lots of our friends there. I mean, you'll see a bunch of people there. Take somebody off to the side and just pray with them, or a few people at a time. So we give esteem. We pray with them. It depends on what we have for donations, but we'll either give out chili or hot chocolate.
I think we're doing sandwiches this time.
We're doing sandwiches this time? Thank you. But it's just an opportunity for us to give. I promise you, if you raise your hand and you want to come with us just to give, whether you have things to donate or not. If you have things to donate, great. But if you don't have things to donate, just come in your time. It'll be some of the most fun you have. And it'll be work, but you'll enjoy yourself. So that's what we do on February 18th, and you're welcome to take part in this. I do this each Monday night, Monday Night Sales Mastery, in a 30-minute block. Hopefully, somebody on this broadcast tonight got something that they can use. I promise you it'll be a whole lot easier than you think. Just practice this just a little bit. And in a few minutes, we're going to go over to the private group. Anyone who wants to take part in the private group on Monday nights, where we can deep dive into these things, I'll let you know about it. Okay? Is it time?
Yep.
Okay.
And anyone who's local in Empowerment Speakerpreneurs tomorrow?
Oh my gosh. Tomorrow we launch our Toastmasters group, Empowerment Speakerpreneurs, from 12 to 1:15 at La Madeline's restaurant. It's called ESP, Empowerment Speakerpreneurs. It's a themed Toastmasters group. This is a Toastmasters group for entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, for people who want to learn to communicate better, lead better, and persuade better. That's what our Toastmasters group is for. So you're invited if that fits your schedule, from 12 to 1:15. And tomorrow night, Men and Win. Tomorrow night from 6:30 to 8:30, Male Empowerment Networks from age 12 and up. We're going to be talking about our relationships with women. All kinds of women. Our men's relationships with their mothers, sisters, girlfriends, wives, co-workers. How we relate to women. And when Women's Empowerment Network happens from tomorrow night from 6:30 to 8:30, my wife facilitates that meeting, and they're going to be talking about
reverse engineering. We're going to be sharing the steps for reverse engineering, some things that women are trying to manifest for 2017.
So whatever it is that they're trying to manifest, their ultimate goal for the year, they're going to reverse engineer it to today, to back and forth, correct?
Yes.
All right, this has been Monday Night Sales Mastery.
Jock Rosario just joined. He said, hey, family, good stuff. Gary McFadden is on. Teresa had some technical difficulties. She can check the rebroadcast because we didn't seem to have any problems on the broadcast. And that's it.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you for joining.